Brought to you by ExpressCare Health and Skin Center. Get in, get out, get better.
If you're just tuning in, we are talking about hair loss with ExpressCare's Dr. Jitka Lom, and she's ready to answer our viewers' questions. So our first viewer is asking, can hair loss be attributed or related to any other disease or medical condition? We talked a little bit about this earlier.
About that. So when you come in and complain about hair loss, we're going to do a couple of things, ask you the questions about what other things are going on in your life. One thing that's really important to know is if you've had a serious illness, let's say you had a really bad flu or pneumonia or something like that, it pushed a lot of your hairs into what's called the catagen or telogen phase, which is the resting phase of the hair, which lasts about anywhere between 2 and 6 months. So you had that illness back, let's say 4 or 5 months ago. Now you're losing your hair because of that. That's a very common scenario. We're also going to be checking for certain conditions in your blood, for example, thyroid disease, making sure you don't have diabetes, and anemia for women.
Okay. Now, our next viewer is asking, I have recently gotten into swimming. Is it true that you can improve your time by removing all your body hair?
You actually can. And also, if you're a cyclist and runner, people do shave their bodies because it actually makes them more aerodynamic. And this has been shown, I'm sure in the Olympics you've seen the people wearing the shark suits. And when your skin is smoother, you glide more quickly through the water.
All right. So if a person wants to remove all their hair, what can they do?
Well, they could certainly do the traditional shaving and waxing, but we do offer laser hair removal, which is a permanent and painless solution to your problem. You come in every 6 weeks or so for the procedure. We just ask that you shave prior, and after about 5 or 6 sessions, there's no more hair left, because what we're doing is destroying the follicle. We're not doing anything to the surface of the hair. We're actually using the light to penetrate the skin and destroy the hair follicle so it never grows back.
Wow,
That's
going to
amazing.
save you several minutes in the shower.
Of course, over time.
Over time,
Yeah.
of course. Now, our next viewer is asking, is it true that if you shave your hair, it will grow back coarser?
So, as I mentioned, hair is in different phases. There's anagen, which our hair might be in the growth phase for anywhere between 1 and 8 years. So yours is very long. It's been growing for a very long time. Then it will transition into a resting phase and then into a death phase where the hair actually falls out. So at any time in a normal person, about 1% of our body hair is going through that death phase. The rest of it is growing. So when you shave, it seems like you basically you've made all the hairs the same length. So there are some that are longer, some that are shorter, and it ends up looking coarser, but you cannot actually make your hair coarse by shaving. So this is something really important for women. They're afraid to remove their facial hair because they're afraid it's going to become coarser. That won't happen.
Okay. Now, you know what they also say is if you have a gray hair and you pluck it out, 10 more will take its place.
10 more will. With time, 10 more will take its place, but it's not because of what you did.
All right. Okay, so our next viewer is asking, can constantly dyeing your hair be damaging?
Well, it can be damaging to the length, to the shaft, because depends on the chemicals that you're using, especially bleaching chemicals can injure your hair, and then you can reseal the shaft of the hair with certain conditioners and treatments and so on. But if it's done safely and in a reasonable way, you can continue. It's just if you overdo it, you're going to hurt your hair.
Okay. Now, our last viewer is asking, what is the name of the hair pulling disorder?
Oh.
And is it common?
Yeah, so there's something called trichotillomania. It's where people sort of out of anxiety pull or twist their hair, and they can actually create baldness even on their eyelashes, eyebrows, from an anxiety disorder. It sometimes happens in children. But if you're a regular person, you don't have that. If you do a hair pull test on yourself, you should only lose about 1 or 2 of hairs when you grab your hair and pull. If you're losing 10 to 20, then you're in that telogen phase, which I was talking about, where you're losing more hair than is normal, and you should get it checked.
Oh gosh.
So you can do a hair pull test. You have about 100,000 hairs on your head.
Yeah.
So losing 1 or 2 is okay.
All right. Now, before we go into break, can you share with us what's the difference between thinning of the hair in men and women? And why do men go bald and women
Don't, right?
Well, women get thin hair.
We get thin. So that's a great question. So the hair on our heads is actually very hormonally dependent, and it's actually determined in utero before we're even born how many hair follicles we're going to have. Our hairs are numbered right from the beginning. And what happens is they respond to hormones. As men get older, a funny thing happens. The male hormone tends to affect the scalp in a different way than it affects the body. So you'll see that it stimulates body hair and nose hair and ear hair, so men get fuzzier on the lower half as they get older. But it inhibits the scalp follicles, so they will start thinning. So it's a completely different balance that happens as men age. In women, ours are also hormonally dependent, but of course we go through menopause. So that's usually when the change happens in women, where we start to get thinning. But we don't go bald. Our hormones affect our scalp in a different way, where we just become thinner, the hair is finer, and the part becomes wider. So usually women, you don't have to worry that you're going to go completely bald even though you're going thin.
Okay, well that's good news for us women.
Yeah.
Well, before we head into the break, why don't you tell us again about your new location?
Oh, thanks, Jolene. Well, our phone number is 649-2873. There's no waiting time at all because we're brand new, and we'll be glad to help you with anything you need.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Doc.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Well, don't go anywhere. When Healthy Living